My Weirder School, Book Number 6. Mayor Hubble is in trouble. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 7. How to Wash a Ferret. The next day was the worst day in the history of the world. It was my turn to bring home Mr. Wiggles, Neil the Nude Kid's disgusting pet ferret. "Have fun with Mr. Wiggles," Mr. Granite said when the bell rang. "Have fun with Mr. Wiggles," said Ryan. "Have fun with Mr. Wiggles," said Emily. In case you were wondering, everybody was telling me to have fun with Mr. Wiggles. The only one who didn't say that was Neil, who told me to be sure to take care of Mr. Wiggles. He gave me some ferret food. Ferrets are gross. I had to carry the cage home from school with me. "He's adorable," said my older sister, Amy. "Can I hold him?" "Just be careful," I told her. "If Mr. Wiggles escapes, I'm in big trouble." Amy picked up Mr. Wiggles and was rocking him in her arms like he was a baby. He didn't like it, and he started trying to hop back and forth. "He's doing the weasel war dance," I told her. "That means he's excited. You'd better stop playing with him." Amy put Mr. Wiggles back in his cage. "How do you wash a ferret?" Amy asked. "I guess you put it in a washing machine," I said. "Then you dry it in a microwave oven." "You do not, AJ. My mom forced me to keep Mr. Wiggles in my bedroom all night. It was creepy. He just sat in his cage and stared at me. I closed my eyes for a while, and when I opened them again, Mr. Wiggles was still staring at me with those beady little ferret eyes. It was hard to sleep. "I like penguins," I whispered to Mr. Wiggles. "Do you have any penguin friends?" Mr. Wiggles didn't answer. He just stared at me. "Penguins are cool," I told him. "I wish you were a penguin. You would be my best friend." Mr. Wiggles just sat there and stared at me some more. He was boring. I decided that when I'm president of the 3rd grade, the first thing I'll do is cancel Adopt a Pet Month, and I will ban ferrets from elementary school forever. "You are ugly," I whispered to Mr. Wiggles. Mr. Wiggles just stared at me. "You are a dumbhead," I said. Mr. Wiggles stared at me some more. He doesn't even understand English. "When I count to 3, sit there and do nothing," I said. 1, 2, 3. Mr. Wiggles just stared at me. Wow, that was amazing. I had taught him a trick. Mr. Wiggles wasn't that much fun to be around, but I had a good time insulting a ferret. Chapter 8. The Great Debate. I was walking with Mr. Wiggles to school the next morning when a big black limo pulled up alongside me. The window rolled down. Mayor Hubble was inside. "Hop in, AJ," he said. "I'll give you a ride." I had never been in a limo before. I got in, Mr. Wiggles's cage on the seat between us. "What's that?" the mayor asked. "A ferret." It looks like a long rat, said the mayor. AJ, I wanted to tell you that you're doing great. There's no way Andrea can win the election, but you still need to debate with her. I need to go fishing with Andrea? I asked. Not the bait, said the mayor. Debate. I was just yanking the mayor's chain. I know what a debate is. That's when two people shake hands and then they argue for a while and then they shake hands again and pretend they weren't arguing. Mayor Hubble told me the big debate would be that afternoon. He said he wouldn't be there because he didn't want anybody to know he was helping me win the election. The limo stopped a block from the school to let me out. Remember our deal, Mayor Hubble said. After you win, you tell all the parents to vote for me. Got it, I said. I was nervous all morning. I couldn't look at Andrea. Mr. Granite taught us some stuff about social studies, but I wasn't paying attention. All I could think about was the big debate. Finally, it was 2:00. We had to go to the all-purpose room. The whole 3rd grade was there. Up on the stage were 2 podiums. I climbed up the steps and stood behind one of them. Andrea went and stood behind the other one. Our librarian, Mrs. Rupee, stood between us. Good afternoon, 3rd graders, she said. Welcome to the great debate. Isn't this exciting? Yes, shouted all the girls. No, shouted all the boys. We're going to keep this pretty simple, said Mrs. Rupee. I will ask questions, and each candidate will give a brief answer. Ready? Let's start with you, Andrea. Why do you want to be president of the 3rd grade? That's an excellent question, Mrs. Rupee, said Andrea, who is a big brown-noser. I want to be president of the 3rd grade so I can help improve the quality of our education here at elementary school and blah, 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 blah. Andrea went on and on for 1,100,000 hours. I thought I was gonna die. And why do you want to be president, AJ? Asked Mrs. Rupee. I want to be president so Andrea will not win, I admitted, because if she's president, we'll all be marching around in uniforms, doing extra homework, reading Shakespeare plays, taking dancing lessons, and singing songs from Annie. That's a lie, Andrea protested. Let's move on, said Mrs. Rupee. What do you think should be served for lunch at our cafetorium, Andrea? I believe the students should have a healthy, nutritious meal every day, Andrea said, and I will fight so that each and every one of us gets a balanced diet. That's right, shouted Emily. I think we should be able to eat as much junk food as we want, I said. So Andrea, said Mrs. Rupee, would you ban junk food from the cafetorium? Yes, Andrea replied. How will we grow up to be big and strong if we stuff ourselves with that poison? There you go again, I said. You want to take away our freedom, the freedom to poison ourselves. That's in the Bill of Rights, you know. It is not, Andrea shouted. I memorized the Bill of Rights, and that's not one of them. My Bill of Rights came with bonus features, I said, like a DVD. Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Let's move on, said Mrs. Rupee. Andrea, you have said that recess is too long and that it takes time away from learning. But most kids say that recess is too short. What is your feeling now? Well, I was for recess before I was against recess, Andrea said. Make up your mind, I shouted at Andrea. You're a flip-flopper. I am not, Andrea shouted. You're mean, Arlo. So is your face, I replied. Well, you're not invited to my birthday party, Andrea shouted at me. Everybody gasped. Not inviting a kid to your birthday party is just about the meanest thing you can do to somebody. I don't want to go to your dumb birthday party anyway, I shouted back at her. Okay, settle down, everyone, said Mrs. Rupee. Describe for me the perfect class field trip. You first, AJ. We would go see the new Batman movie before it comes out, I said. Free popcorn for everybody. That would be cool, Andrea. We would fly to Paris and visit the Louvre Museum, said Andrea. We would see the Mona Lisa and all the wonderful works of art there. We went back and forth like that for a while. Whenever I said anything, kids would clap and cheer. Whenever Little Miss I Know Everything said anything, the only one who clapped or cheered was Emily. I was definitely winning the debate. It's time for the closing arguments, said Mrs. Rupee. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to say whatever they want. Andrea, you may go first. I would just like to say that blah 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 blah, and that's why you should vote for me. Okay, AJ, you have the floor. Why would I want a floor? I asked. That means it's your turn to talk, dumbhead, yelled Andrea, rolling her eyes. I knew that, I lied. Well, my opponent has spent the last 1,100 minutes spreading nasty lies and calling me names, I said. So I would like to conclude by saying that Andrea is a poopy head. That's why you should vote for me. Thank you. The kids went crazy. All you have to do is say the words poopy head and kids go crazy. Nobody knows why. The great debate was over. I had totally mopped the floor with Andrea. It was the greatest day of my life. Chapter 9. Playing Hardball. There were only 2 days before the election, and things were looking good. Just about all the kids in 3rd grade said they were going to vote for me. Hardly anybody wanted Andrea to be president. Nobody wanted to wear a uniform and give up recess. Except for Emily, of course. You're a shoo-in, AJ, Michael told me. I had no idea what shoes had to do with anything. That's when the worst thing in the history of the world happened. When I got to school the next day, everybody was holding a sheet of pink paper. I picked one up off the ground. This is what it said. Things you don't know about AJ. He throws paper into the garbage instead of putting it in recycling box. He changed a C- to a C+ on his spelling test last week. He wears the same underwear 2 days in a row. He didn't get his mother a card for Mother's Day. He uses a magnifying glass to torture defenseless insects. He picks his nose and eats it. Vote for Andrea, gifted, talented, and ready. Those were lies. Well, most of them were anyway. All the kids were talking to each other. I heard some of them saying that they were thinking of voting for Andrea instead of me. This was the worst thing to happen since TV turned off week. I called for an emergency strategy session, and the gang gathered in Ryan's treehouse as soon as school let out that day. Did you really forget to make your mom a card for Mother's Day, AJ? Asked Alexia. I didn't forget, I said. I ran out of time. That's just wrong, man, said Michael. Gee, maybe I should vote for Andrea, said Neil the nude kid. I'm not sure I could vote for a kid who doesn't make his mom a Mother's Day card. I might vote for Andrea too, said Ryan. You can't vote for Andrea, I shouted at them. You're the ones who talked me into this in the first place. I didn't want to run for president. That's when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. Mayor Hubble popped his head up into the treehouse. I saw that flyer that Andrea printed up, the mayor said. That girl is very tricky. AJ, it's time for us to play hardball. I didn't bring my glove, I told him. Not that kind of hardball, said the mayor. We need to dig up some dirt. Should I get a shovel? I asked. Not that kind of dirt. Andrea dug up dirt about you, so we need to dig up some dirt about Andrea. It's the only way you can win the election. How can we dig up dirt about Andrea? Asked Alexia. Follow me, said the mayor. We all piled into Mayor Hubble's limo and drove over to Andrea's house. The limo driver parked a block away across the street. What are we doing here? I asked. Andrea's never home after school. She's always taking some dance class or piano lesson, so she'll be better than everybody else. I know, Mayor Hubble whispered. That's why we're going to her house now. Mayor Hubble sneaked down the street, hiding behind trees and bushes like he was a secret agent. We all followed him. What if Andrea's parents are home? Asked Alexia. Shh, Mayor Hubble said. Her parents are at work. I don't feel good about this, said Ryan. Mayor Hubble led us to the back door of Andrea's house. He searched around until he found a key under the welcome mat. Aha, he said as he put the key into the lock. Isn't it illegal to break into somebody's house? I asked. I'm not breaking in, said the mayor. I'm using the key. I can't do this, Neil said. It's wrong. You're not doing it, Mayor Hubble said. I'm doing it, and I'm the former mayor, so it's okay. He turned the key and pushed open the door. I was afraid an alarm would go off, but it didn't. Follow me, the mayor said. Let's go upstairs to Andrea's room. We slinked up the stairs like secret agents. What if we get caught? Whispered Michael. Shh, said Mayor Hubble. It wasn't hard to find Andrea's room. It was the one with all the pink in it. Wow, everybody said, which is Mom upside down. The walls were pink. The bedspread was pink. The rug was pink. The stuffed animals, dolls, and other girly girl stuff all over the place were pink. I thought I was gonna go blind from all the pinkness. Andrea sure wins a lot of awards, said Alexia. There was a bookcase filled with trophies, plaques, ribbons, and certificates with Andrea's name all over everything. We should get out of here, I said. She might come home any second. Shh, said Mayor Hubble. Look what I found. He was holding a book that was on the desk. The cover said, Andrea's Private Diary. I'll bet there's some good dirt in here, Mayor Hubble said. You can't read that, said Michael. Sure I can, said the mayor. I'm the former mayor. He flipped through the pages. We all gathered around so we could look over his shoulder. Most of the pages were just boring stuff about Andrea's dance class, Andrea's gymnastics class, Andrea's art class. And then the mayor turned to a page with just 3 words on it. 3 horrible words, the worst words in the history of the world. I like AJ. Ah! Ooh, Ryan said. Andrea likes AJ. They must be in love. When are you and Andrea gonna get married? Asked Michael. Can we get out of here now? I asked. I wanted to run away to Antarctica and live with the penguins.